Language Foundations Vocabulary Flashcards, helping you achieve understanding.
Signal going into an electronic system. A statement that expresses a personal opinion or belief or adds information. We would appreciate input from our users on how we can improve our software. Any stimulating information or event acts to arouse action. A component of production, something that goes into the production of output. Enter data or a program into a computer. Signal going into an electronic system. Provide interlinear explanations for words or phrases. Make or write a comment on. He commented the paper of his colleague. A report, often malicious, about the behavior of other people. A statement that expresses a personal opinion or belief or adds information. From time to time she contributed a personal comment on his account. A written explanation or criticism or illustration that is added to a book or other textual material. He wrote an extended comment on the proposal. Explain or interpret something. Make or write a comment on. A statement that expresses a personal opinion or belief or adds information. Make mention of. Explicit notice. It passed without remark. A drug that temporarily quickens some vital process. That stimulates. Stimulant phenomena. Any stimulating information or event acts to arouse action. Mutual sexual fondling prior to sexual intercourse. Any stimulating information or event acts to arouse action. Physiology, the effect of a stimulus on nerves or organs, etc. The act of arousing an organism to action. Any stimulating information or event acts to arouse action. Any nonverbal action or gesture that encodes a message. Structure displaying a board on which advertisements can be posted. The highway was lined with signboards. A perceptible indication of something not immediately apparent, as a visible clue that something has happened. He showed signs of strain. Mark with one signature. Write one's name on. She signed the letter and sent it off. Make the sign of the cross over someone in order to call on God for protection. Consecrate. Any nonverbal action or gesture that encodes a message. Signals from the boat suddenly stopped. Engage by written agreement. They signed 2 new pitchers for the next season. Used of the language of the deaf. An event that is experienced as indicating important things to come. It was a sign from God. Approve and express assent, responsibility, or obligation. Have you signed your contract yet? Communicate silently and non-verbally by signals or signs. He signed his disapproval with a dismissive hand gesture. Astrology, one of 12 equal areas into which the zodiac is divided. Having an indicated pole, as the distinction between positive and negative electric charges. Charges of opposite sign. A character indicating a relation between quantities. Don't forget the minus sign. A fundamental linguistic unit linking a signifier to that which is signified. The bond between the signifier and the signified is arbitrary. A gesture that is part of a sign language. A public display of a message. He posted signs in all the shop windows. Be engaged by a written agreement. He signed to play the casino on December 18. Communicate in sign language. I don't know how to sign, so I could not communicate with my deaf cousin. Medicine. Any objective evidence of the presence of a disorder or disease. There were no signs of asphyxiation. Place signs, as along a road. Sign an intersection. Be a signal for or a symptom of. The economic indicators signal that the euro is undervalued. Any nonverbal action or gesture that encodes a message. Signals from the boat suddenly stopped. Communicate silently and non-verbally by signals or signs. The diner signaled the waiters to bring the menu. An electric quantity, voltage or current or field strength, whose modulation represents coded information about the source from which it comes. Any incitement to action. He awaited the signal to start. Notably out of the ordinary. The year saw one signal triumph for the Labour Party. Computer science. A line of code written as part of a computer program. A fact or assertion offered as evidence that something is true. A document showing credits and debits. The act of affirming or asserting or stating something. A message that is stated or declared. A communication, oral or written, setting forth particulars or facts, etc. According to his statement, he was in London on that day. A nonverbal message. A Cadillac makes a statement about who you are. Music. The presentation of a musical theme. The initial statement of the sonata. A message received and understood. Communication theory. A numerical measure of the uncertainty of an outcome. The signal contained thousands of bits of information. A collection of facts from which conclusions may be drawn. Formal accusation of a crime. Knowledge acquired through study or experience or instruction. An artifact that is one of the individual parts of which a composite entity is made up, especially a part that can be separated from or attached to a system. A component or constituent element of a system. An abstract part of something. Two constituents of a musical composition are melody and harmony. Something determined in relation to something that includes it. The animal constituent of plankton. Constitutional in the structure of something, especially your physical makeup. Grammar. A word or phrase or clause forming part of a larger grammatical construction. A member of a constituency. A citizen who is represented in a government by officials for whom he or she votes. Needs continued support by constituents to be re-elected. An artifact that is one of the individual parts of which a composite entity is made up, especially a part that can be separated from or attached to a system. Spare components for cars. An abstract part of something. Jealousy was a component of his character. Something determined in relation to something that includes it. The smaller component is hard to reach. An artifact that is one of the individual parts of which a composite entity is made up, especially a part that can be separated from or attached to a system. A component or constituent element of a system. Any of the more than 100 known substances, of which 92 occur naturally, that cannot be separated into simpler substances and that singly or in combination constitute all matter. An abstract part of something. The grammatical elements of a sentence. A straight line that generates a cylinder or cone. One of four substances thought in ancient and medieval cosmology to constitute the physical universe. The alchemists believed that there were four elements. The most favorable environment for a plant or animal. Water is the element of fishes. The situation in which you are happiest and most effective. In your element. Bring something new to an environment. A new word processor was introduced. Bring before the public for the first time, as of an actor, song, etc. Put or introduce into something. Be a precursor of. Furnish with a preface or introduction. Cause to come to know personally. Introduce the new neighbors to the community. Bring in a new person or object into a familiar environment. The new secretary introduced a nasty rumor. Place, fit, or thrust something into another thing. Bring in or establish in a new place or environment. Introduce a rule. Put before a body. Introduce legislation. Put or introduce into something. An affix that is inserted inside the word. Attach a morpheme into a stem word. Film. A still picture that is introduced and that interrupts the action of a film. Insert casually. Broadcasting. A local announcement inserted into a network program. An artifact that is inserted or is to be inserted. Put or introduce into something. Insert a picture into the text. Fit snugly into. Insert your ticket into the slot. Place, fit, or thrust something into another thing. A folded section placed between the leaves of another publication. To come or go into. The boat entered an area of shallow marshes. Be or play a part of or in. Register formally as a participant or member. Set out on, an enterprise or subject of study. Take on duties or office. Put or introduce into something. Become a participant, be involved in. Enter a race. Make a record of, set down in permanent form. Come on stage. A formal recommendation by a former employer to a potential future employer describing the person's qualifications and dependability. Requests for character references are all too often answered evasively. A publication, or a passage from a publication, that is referred to. He carried an armful of references back to his desk. The act of referring or consulting. Reference to an encyclopedia produced the answer. A short note recognizing a source of information or of a quoted passage. The most direct or specific meaning of a word or expression. The class of objects that an expression refers to. A remark that calls attention to something or someone. The speaker made several references to his wife. Computer science. The code that identifies where a piece of information is stored. A book to which you can refer for authoritative facts. He contributed articles to the basic reference work on that topic. Refer to. He referenced his colleague's work. An indicator that orients you generally. It is used as a reference for comparing the heating and the electrical energy involved. The relation between a word or phrase and the object or idea it refers to. He argued that reference is a consequence of conditioned reflexes. A likeness in which left and right are reversed. The image of something is reflected by a mirror, or other reflective material. He studied his reflection in the mirror. The ability to reflect beams or rays. Expression without words. The pulse is a reflection of the heart's condition. The phenomenon of a propagating wave, light or sound, being thrown back from a surface. A calm, lengthy, intent consideration. A remark expressing careful consideration. Mathematics. A transformation in which the direction of one axis is reversed. A likeness in which left and right are reversed. The image of something is reflected by a mirror, or other reflective material. The ability to reflect beams or rays. Expression without words. The phenomenon of a propagating wave, light or sound, being thrown back from a surface. A calm, lengthy, intent consideration. A remark expressing careful consideration. Subject to laughter or ridicule. Any of the 12 pairs of curved arches of bone extending from the spine to or toward the sternum in humans, and similar bones in most vertebrates. A projecting molding on the underside of a vault or ceiling, may be ornamental or structural. A rib-like supporting or strengthening part of an animal or plant. A teasing remark. Cut of meat including one or more ribs. Form vertical ribs by knitting. A ribbed sweater. Support resembling the rib of an animal. A venture off the beaten path. A sally into the wide world beyond his home. Witty remark. A military action in which besieged troops burst forth from their position. An aggressive remark directed at a person like a missile and intended to have a telling effect. She threw shafts of sarcasm. The hollow spine of a feather. A revolving rod that transmits power or motion. A column of light, as from a beacon. Defeat someone through trickery or deceit. The main, mid section of a long bone. Architecture. Upright consisting of the vertical part of a column. Obscene terms for penis. A long pointed rod used as a tool or weapon. A line that forms the length of an arrow pointer. A long rod or pole, especially the handle of an implement or the body of a weapon like a spear or arrow. A long vertical passage sunk into the earth, as for a mine or tunnel. A vertical passageway through a building, as for an elevator. Equip with a shaft. With little or no preparation or forethought. His ad-lib comments showed poor judgment. Perform without preparation. Said or done without having been planned or written in advance. He made a few ad-lib remarks. Remark made spontaneously without prior preparation. His ad-libs got him in trouble with the politicians. An estimate based on little or no information. A solid missile discharged from a firearm. The shot buzzed past his ear. A person who shoots, usually with respect to their ability to shoot. He is a crack shot. An informal photograph, usually made with a small handheld camera. My snapshots haven't been developed yet. Varying in color when seen in different lights or from different angles. Chatoyant, or shot, silk. An aggressive remark directed at a person like a missile and intended to have a telling effect. His parting shot was, drop dead. A chance to do something. He wanted a shot at the champion. The launching of a missile or spacecraft to a specified destination. A consecutive series of pictures that constitutes a unit of action in a film. Sports. The act of swinging or striking at a ball with a club or racket or bat or cue or hand. A good shot requires good balance and tempo. The act of firing a projectile. Informal words for any attempt or effort. He gave it his best shot. The act of putting a liquid into the body by means of a syringe. The nurse gave him a flu shot. A small drink of liquor. He poured a shot of whiskey. A blow hard enough to cause injury. He is still recovering from a shot to his leg. An attempt to score in a game. An explosive charge used in blasting. Sports equipment consisting of a heavy metal ball used in the shot put. He trained at putting the shot. A trite or obvious remark. An aggressive remark directed at a person like a missile and intended to have a telling effect. A subsidiary point facing opposite from the main point that makes an arrowhead or spear hard to remove. One of the parallel filaments projecting from the main shaft of a feather. Provide with barbs. Barbed wire. The pointed part of barbed wire. A trite or obvious remark. Any of the salts of hydrobromic acid, formerly used as a sedative but now generally replaced by safer drugs. A trite or obvious remark.
Become our student and get access to effective and free educational materials. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to become a part of our growing YouTube community and to learn English effectively.